us through this session. I'm sorry, I may be a little low. I am trying to fight malaria, but for now, the fight is the parasites are winning, but I'm also trying my best. Kindly, someone kindly confirm if they're able to see my screen. I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it. Able to see it now? Okay, thank you. So we're going to go through child protection and safeguarding in tournament spaces. But just like Joseph has already told you, this is a very important topic that everyone that is getting in contact with children need to have at the tip of their fingertips. And just one quote from Nelson Mandela, he says that the true character of a society is revealed in how it treats its children. So we would then want to know what character you have by how you treat the children that you're going to engage with. And another one from me, and this is just a philosophy that I think is very important for us to have at the back of our mind. Very important for us to know that every child carries within them the promise of a better tomorrow, and our duty is not only to protect that promise, but to nurture it into, you know, in every space that we create for them. So as a judge, there's an opportunity for you to, nurture uh, the promise of a better tomorrow that child has in them. So first and foremost, we need to look at why safeguarding matters. Like we have already mentioned, it protects children's rights and their dignity, and also it brings a sense of safety to this child. We all know that everyone, uh, every child has a right, and this right has to be protected, or they have to be able to uh, know that they are protected and they know the rights that they have. And also, we protect their dignity and create a space where every child that is under our care feels safe. The other second thing is that safeguarding helps to build trust and integrity in the tournament spaces. However, it's also very important for us to know that this is not always the case in all tournaments. But then why are we training you this? Because we believe that for us to have judges or adjudicators that are professional, it's very important to have the knowledge of safeguarding and child protection at the back of your mind. That even when you get into a tournament that doesn't have safeguarding policies, you always know how to identify cases of abuse. You know how to report, where to report, and how to handle the disclosures that probably a child would bring to you. And it's not always in only in the tournament spaces. I have noticed a very interesting, for lack of a better word, norm within the debate and public speaking space where most of the younger siblings, sorry, younger students are calling their coaches, daddy and mommy and all those things. But also, as a judge, it's very important for you to know that this presents an opportunity for you to actually do things like grooming, which after this session, I hope and pray that we are able to distinguish and avoid totally, and not say that I didn't know. So the other thing is that safeguarding empowers the youth to speak, learn, and grow confident. I want to believe that the mere fact that we are here today, you're here as a judge today, because someone created a safe space for you and you were able to speak, you were able to learn, and you were able to grow confidently. And now we are having you uh, taking on the role of, creating a safe space, judging tournament fairly, but also upholding the principles of protection and safeguarding at the end of the day. After understanding why it matters, it's also very important for us to be able to spot some of the red flags in the tournament spaces where we are. And these are in different forms. We have the behavioral signs, and then we'll see another aspect of where the red flags always coming from. So the first thing in is to be able to notice. And I normally like telling people that are close to me that when you get into a space, you need to be able to, you know, study the people that you're going to uh, interact with and notice their behavior. 5 minutes or 10 minutes probably would be enough for you to at least have made two or three, conclusions about their behaviors, what they don't like, or how they are very free, how they communicate when they're free, how they communicate when things are not okay. So that when there is a change, you're able to notice and actually take action. If there is a change in their behavior and it warrants you to, uh, come and say, I'm suspecting this and this. Could there be a problem? You create a space or an environment around you where a child is able to come and talk to you and say, you know what, coach, uh, I have an issue. Can I talk to you about it? So one of the signs is that there is always withdrawal. There is also where a child, you just find someone is going from people and interactions. They don't want to associate with people. There's also fear that is coupled with that sort of withdrawal because, and sometimes this fear is just because, you can notice them because you'll be talking to someone, even when you're just doing your normal gestures, you find, they're flinching. So that could tell you that if this child has not been abused, then they are actually traumatized in the end. Again, let's not go and start becoming very unruly detectives, where you see something and you're like, I know you're being abused. No, let's act professionally and try our best to actually, create a space where they can come and tell you. But when you notice these red flags, and if it's consistent, you then have to report it to the person with the designated safeguarding officer. The other thing is there's always a fear of aggression. Someone is clinging. There is also in most tournament spaces, you find that at some point someone will be having an injury and they can't actually explain it. But then you're seeing that they're in pain and also they are withdrawing or they're trying to cover it, you know, they don't want you to know about it. Then when you notice it, they're uncomfortable sharing it with you. Then also the the other red flag is overly sexualized behavior, um, and also a reluctance to be near certain individuals. So I think these are the behavioral signs that we can always look out for to be able to spot the red flags in people's behavior and be able to notify the individuals of these particular changes. Then it's very important for us to always ask ourselves questions that even in, as I'm noticing these changes or as I'm thinking to do this or I'm thinking to say this? Is it ethical? Or after you've done something, is it possible for you to pause and first reflect on whether it was ethical or not of you to, to do such a thing? The other thing is, spotting the red flag, and this is in the aspect of unsafe dynamic, where you have the isolation of minors from others, favoritism or gifts, secret communication or excessive private chats. And we're going to look at digital, safeguarding. Digital safeguarding would look like you need to keep yourself from electronic messaging of minors, especially in a. I know nowadays we normally create, WhatsApp groups for specific tournaments, and you find judges and participants are there, and sometimes these participants are minors. It is proper and good manner for you to refrain from texting someone or inboxing them without their permission. Um, and also in the case of minors, it's very I again I'll advise all of us, unless it is a do or die situation, don't inbox a minor. And I know that you can always stay alive if you don't inbox a minor. There is something you want to clarify, communicate it in the main group so that everyone is able to, see it. But then when you start, doing secret communications, you're having a lot of private chats, uh, you can always be twisted by these young people. And again, we need to be very conscious, especially when in the sort of communications that we are having, because, well, this might be someone that you're actually friends with, someone that you probably studied with in your former school, and now, and they're of the opposite sex, and now they want someone, a child will reach out to you and be like, can I have, personal feedback? Can I have personal coaching, mentorship, as a debater, as a public speaker? And innocently, you may actually say, oh, okay, maybe do this, do the other. But then when it progresses, you find that sometimes these minors will have crushes, and you will start having these conversations that are very, very interesting conversations. And before you know it, when things go south, uh, you find that this person actually reports and says so and so has been, sexually harassing me, and yet you are actually, you know that maybe you are innocent. So it's very important for us to not engage in private messaging. If someone wants coaching, you need to be able to, do it in a way that is not suspicious. Then inappropriate touching or invasion of someone's space. We all love our spaces, and we don't want uh, unnecessary, uh, hands everywhere. So if for you, you're okay with everyone touching you, ask yourself, is it the same thing with this particular person? You know? And it's also good manners for us not to inappropriately touch or invade another person's space. Um, and I think it's just basic courtesy. So this is always, and this will always make someone else uncomfortable, especially if they have not given you a go ahead and like, oh yeah, sure, you can do this, you can do this. It's it's always it's always uncomfortable. You might find that you actually someone who is very okay with probably hugging and all, and you come with your arms wide open, running to someone to hug them. You're like, hold on, what are you exactly doing? So, uh, and in the end, you find that you actually also invite. So, let's do appropriate things. And sometimes you may find that something that may seem appropriate to you is not appropriate to the other person. So, let's act as professional as possible as we can in tournament spaces. Now, that will not only be for the other person, it will also be for you, because you will be, you know, you'll be protecting yourself as well. Because in the end, safeguarding is not only for the child, it is for all stakeholders, and that includes the judge as well. It includes the tournament organizers as well. So if there is someone that is feeling unsafe in a space, that means that all those people are, in problem. Then how, after identifying these red flags, how then do we respond to those particular red flags? The first thing is to always trust your instincts, and to note what, you're able to note what is wrong. Then kindly observe and document what has happened, when did it happen, who was it happening to, or who was doing it, so that when you now come to report, you have a documentation of what clearly happened, and that could as well act as, I would say, evidence. Then also, it's always advisable that you do not confront, because this may escalate things for this particular person. But what you can do is to report to the designated safeguarding officer or lead in that particular tournament. If they are not there, please go to equity, go to uh, OGCOM, and talk to them. Then also, like I've been saying, let's act promptly and professionally in the tournament spaces that we are always in. Now, uh, when someone confides in you, or when you've observed something, how do you handle it? How do you handle the disclosure? Someone is confiding in you as a judge. What do you do? You One of the things you can do is, to stay calm, listen to them. And again, it is very bad manners for you to start saying, "Oh yeah, you see, in my opinion, I know that that thing also happened to me." That can make this person that wants to tell you what they're going through to withdraw and just keep quiet, because, well, you've already proved to them that you're not going to listen to them. But for you, the communication to be very effective, you need to be able to listen very well, and not listen just to respond. Listen to understand, so that you're able to clearly get the picture of what has happened. Then also, sometimes they may break down, but then you need to be able to, one, comfort them, but then again, also don't do it something that is suspicious. Then reassure them. It can look like saying, you did the right thing. And also, one thing that we normally do wrongly is to promise that we are going to keep secret. Don't do that, because they have confided in you. If And you're not going to provide for them a solution, are you going to stay with it? No, you have to escalate it to someone else. So what you can do is explain to them the next steps, and assure them that the next steps will still ensure that there's confidentiality that is maintained in the process, and help them understand. Then after that, you report to the designated safeguarding personnel. I'm not sure if I'm still audible. Am I still audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So another thing that we need to look into is, how then do we maintain boundaries between, as a judge and the participant that you're going to have a conversation with. Firstly, you need, like we talked about earlier, you need to be able to avoid, private and unsupervised meetings or chats or discussions, or time for feedback, especially in isolated places. And you know that talking to someone from the opposite sex. Uh, and you know, the human mind is very interesting. That's something that I've learned lately. The human mind is very interesting because your mind, even you yourself, your mind will start thinking in seven different directions, you know, over a simple thing. So why do you have to create a scenario where someone else's mind is thinking in seven different directions, over you and the action that you're doing? So let's try to avoid private and unsupervised meetings and chats with minors. Let's also try our best to use official communication channels. Dress up professionally. And I think this is something that we need to actually address. Most of the times we dress in a way that even if I was a minor, it would be very hard to respect you as a judge. Maybe I would respect you because you've told me that you're a judge and not because I see that you're respectable. So before you start calling out and saying people need to respect me, do you know how many tournaments I've won? Do you know how many competitions? Do you know my speaker points? Blah 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 blah. And you now starting to call for respect. Dress appropriately, modestly, in a way that will actually call for respect to you, and also in a professional manner. And do not only stop at dressing, behave professionally. And that would then make also uh, the people, that other stakeholders that may not understand the dynamics of debate, know that, oh, even the people that are coming to judge, they're respectable people, you know. And then the other thing is that let's respect other people's personal and physical boundaries. If someone is not okay with you touching them, please don't. If someone is not okay with you, you know, uh, sitting or standing so close to them, give them the one. If you have to count, please do count. If you have to move with a stick, please do that. But then I believe that as judges of debate and public speech, we are very intellectually, we're very intellectual people. So you can always make the calculations in your mind and you do that. Oh, like I said earlier on, safeguarding is not just to protect the. Is someone saying something? Like I said earlier, safeguarding is not just to protect the children, it is to protect yourself as well. So, how then do you protect yourself? If there is a need for you to have a conversation with a minor, let it be in a place that, you know, is not suspicious. Don't go isolating yourself. Then involve another adult in sensitive places so that at least you have a witness, because when you're only two of you and you're telling someone that, but we were discussing this, it's very hard for you, at least you have a third party to tell you that, to say that, yes, I was with them and that is what they were talking about. Even when the other person probably wants twist you and say, no, they were telling me this, and the other third person can always tell you, stand up for you. Then also, it's very important for you to keep records of concerns or incidents. And if you're to communicate, use official communication platforms. Then also avoid personal contacts, like we talked about earlier. And if possible, and if it is at your disposal, attend regular safeguarding training. If you cannot attend them or they are not organized, you have a phone, a laptop, you have data because you're always on WhatsApp. Go to Google, read about safeguarding, because by doing that, you will be reminding yourself again. Or visit the DIA YouTube channel. We have a lot of sessions on safeguarding. You can always remind yourself, or our website. Then how do we then create, the safe, inclusive spaces? Firstly, we need to be we need to have a code of conduct for all participants. Now, this may be the role of, the tournament organizer, but you may be the tournament organizer, or you may be part of the team that is a stake. As a judge, your voice also matters. Let there be a code of conduct, you know, for all participants, judges, or debaters themselves, and abide by them. Then it's also very important for you to, first of all, acknowledge that you're serving people with a diverse mind, from different backgrounds, cultures, languages. So respect them and ensure that there is equity in your engagement and promote it as well. Then it's also very important for all staff and volunteers to be, trained on safeguarding. And also, again, as a judge, you can always advocate for this, for the tournament where you're going, so that in the end you are protected. Because if there is a safeguarding issue that arises from a particular tournament that you have attended and you were judging that tournament, it also affects you. It brushes on you in one way or the other. Let the tournament organizers always, provide accessible reporting channel. And uh, to look at digital safeguarding, enable better learning confidence. So create that space, make the environment around you to be safe, that a child can be able to come and confide in you. And also there is learning and, you know, confidence building around you. And then lastly, let's be alert, act responsibly, and speak up when we see these issues happening. That is it from me. I'll check the floor back to Robert. Or if we have any questions, feel free to ask them. There was a comment on grooming, but I think we can still talk about that briefly. So, grooming is where someone deliberately, especially an adult or an older individual, builds a relationship with a minor, and the intention is to exploit, manipulate, or abuse them later. So, it's also very important for us to be able to notice the signs of grooming. Uh, it may look like excessive compliments or attention that is being given to one particular person. And again, with the intention of exploiting them, manipulating them, or abusing them later on. Then also, the other sign is, uh, gifting, like we talked about earlier, or having too much favoritism with expectation. Also, I think it also looks at isolating the minor from peers or coaches, and the gradual kind of boundary crossing. For example, inappropriate jokes or touching. And why is it dangerous? Grooming is dangerous because there is going to be confusion in minors who may feel obligated or loyal. There is also going to be grooming, takes us to a point where trust in the learning environment is undermined. And most times it goes unnoticed until the abuse occurs. And again, like I warned us earlier on the habit of being so close with these minors, getting into their DMs and having conversations and all. It's very important for you to also know that this is an avenue for you for grooming to occur. So it's very important for all of us, especially the judges, to take note and ensure that they're acting with utmost professionalism. And going to the aspect of power dynamic, especially between the younger and older judges, uh, there's an opportunity for the older judges to exert power over the younger ones or participants, and this is an abuse. Again, we need to take note of this because as young judges, at some point, you may take it and say that no, this person is just being a mentor. Someone is just wants me to do better and all that, and we allow for uh, you know um, abuse to happen in the long run. Also, there's also a possibility of you as a young judge to feel pressure to conform, especially to these older judges, even in unsafe situations. So, what are some of the key points that we need to take in? Especially, and this is for all judges. It's very important for us to, respect boundaries, like we talked about earlier, and know that age does not give anyone a right to control or manipulate you. Also, avoid favoritism, especially if it's based on personal interests. And you're able to take notice this because before you do something, ask yourself, what is the motive of me saying this? What is the motive of me doing this? Or you can try to think for the other person. But again, give yourself or give yourself, how do they say it? Do not put yourself in a place where you're thinking for the other person badly or thinking for them at all. But then you're keen enough to observe and notice whatever they're doing, and you're able to know that this is wrong. This shouldn't have been done this way. Then also let us be aware of influence. For example, the tone that someone is speaking to you, also feedback and the presence that people are using or the older judges are there to be able to empower you to become a better judge, to become a better speaker, better in an art of adjudication, and not to intimidate you or to make you feel uh, unwanted, for lack of a better word. I think basically that's what I can see.
Yes, please. Yes, good evening. First of all, I want to thank Gracious for that insight. So mine was more on the part whereby you emphasized about, safe spaces, and you talked about us being, let me say, if you're going to, let me say, talk to a child or a minor, you would have to be with somebody like with you or like a third party to be able to at least be like a witness. But then there is a problem that would arise, and that person wants to talk with you alone. I'm not saying probably talking behind maybe somewhere or somewhere to raise questions, but you'd be somewhere aside. But it is just that that person doesn't want any other person to get them. So how then do I protect myself or protect this child or involve this third party, but while keeping the conversation between us? For example, now let me say the child could or the minor could have an issue that regards or that would be sort of like something between fellow ladies or fellow men, and then the nearest judge would be of the opposite gender, or even if the nearest judge is of the same gender, that that minor is more comfortable with you. How then do I handle such a situation? Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. I think you asked the question and you answered it. But I am going to re-echo and say now, when it comes to the third party, you have you ask or advise that the child or the minor if they're comfortable with having a third party in the conversation. If they are not comfortable with having a third party in the conversation, then the next step to do is to ensure that where you're going to have the conversation is not a suspicious place. It's not isolated where someone misunderstands you, or it's a suspicious place. So I think basically that's what I can say.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes, I have a question. I put it in the chat box, but it seems they didn't see it, but I guess I'll ask it anyway. So my question is, have you ever personally encountered a judge violating the child protection protocols? And if that is the case, how did you handle it?
Thank you so much for the question. My answer is yes. But then I'm not going to tell you how I handled it. But then this is what I know would be the case for such a situation. If probably a judge has an issue uh, that regards safeguarding and child protection, one, there would be reception of the complaint and then investigation. Now, the investigation would also mean that the judge is given, a benefit of doubt and allowed to defend themselves. And a rational decision is made. A very clear judgment is made, and the next steps are communicated to the judge according to one and the safeguarding policies, the code of conduct of that particular tournament. Uh, if it warrants the judge being dropped off, okay. If it warrants uh, a police case, it's okay. If it warrants, okay, they will take the next steps as guided by the safeguarding and child protection policy. And that would also depend on the gravity of the situation and the judgment made. But again, it's also very important for us to know that, especially I have only had the experience with this at DIA, that we give you a benefit of doubt to actually talk and let us know your side of the story. And you're not going to be bundled and put in a drone and taken to sale before you can, before you're hard. But again, you shouldn't use that as an opportunity for you to do something, because probably Gracious is going to give you time to defend yourself. And you may be a lawyer and you know how to defend yourself, argue your case. So going back to the drawing board and going back to where we started, try as much as possible to act professionally, doing appropriate things, create a safe space for the children that are under your care, and you will enjoy your judging experience. Okay, thank you. Um, uh, we have had cases of child protection um, and safeguarding issues where we had to drop off, uh, suspend a particular judge from the institution. We've also had cases where, um, people are now, when you're suspended, you don't get in touch with any institution activity that is going on. So those are the cases. And there's also having a key team with probably having uh, having a session where the matter is escalated further to a point where let's say your other institution, you're having an engagement with another institution that has um, young children involved. The institution protects those other children by informing that particular institution that your DIA protects those other children by informing the other institution that you're working with. So that in the end, we don't only protect the children that are under our care, but because it happened and we are worried for the other children as well, we let them know uh, of what has happened. So we don't, in as much as we give you a benefit of doubt, like I said earlier on, we take measures, and like I said earlier, the measures depend on the report or the results of the investigation that we have carried. And you're suspended, you're discontinued from the program, or other actions are taken on you. Hope that helps to explain.
Yes, please. So my question is just in case uh probably there's a safeguarding issue that has risen from, let's say, a particular team or maybe a particular student, and after investigation, maybe if there was public awareness, after investigation it turns out to be false against one of the institution's judges. So they're like penalizing for a particular team as well, probably the school, like sort of repairing what has been done to that judge as well.
Thank you so much, Shadrach. Well, as TA, we normally try our best to ensure that one, like we're doing right now, we have trained you on how to handle the aspect of reporting, so that the even the children, they always, whenever we have an activity under the institution, they are trained and they know the channels to report. So when that is then reported to us, we try our best to one, ensure that there's confidentiality, and then during the process of doing the investigation. Now, when the results are out and probably the accusation was false, because we had tried our best with the level of confidentiality, we'll understand that very few people actually have knowledge of what is happening, and we will settle the matter between the accuser and the suspect, and also have a conversation with them and the accuser on the importance of having, uh, evidence based and truthful sort of submission. So in the end, the judge is also, you know, the judge is protected, the child is also talked to, but again, actions are always taken. And this, like I said earlier on, this depends on the gravity of the situation, or whether or not this has happened. I don't know if that- Sure.